And if the longer we stay inside that box and think that's life, think that we're fish inside a pool and we can't get outside of it, as long as we stay inside that, we're doomed. I mean, my wife keeps teaching me not to say that anymore, but so I got to pull that back. But the system can't work. Our systems cannot work. We've reached a point where the system design isn't working, but we're staying inside our thinking box, trying to make what we got work. And it can't. We have to step outside of it and go, oh, this isn't working. You know, somehow staying inside this box, we created something called a corporation. It's almost like a science fiction movie where the aliens have invaded and they take over, you know, and their values take over. And so we work for them and we serve these corporate values. And somehow they stole our lives somehow. And now we're trashing the planet. Nobody, you can go interview everybody. Everybody's in agreement. We don't want to trash the planet. But corporations are in charge, so we're going to trash the planet whether we want to or not. So how did that happen? Well, it happened constitutionally. The U.S. Constitution set up that corporations, they didn't mean to set it up. The founders didn't know about that. They didn't want that. But through interpretations of the Constitution and through the history and so forth, now constitutionally, corporations are like people. They're more powerful people than we are because they can live forever. And you know, you can't put them in jail. They just go on, and they aren't real people because they don't have any values other than the bottom line.
My reading of the Declaration of Independence is that it's incumbent on each of us to ratify the Constitution in a certain sense. I don't care how good a system is, if it's handed down to me in an authoritarian sense, I'm going to chafe under that system. And we were talking before the show about the book Escaping the Matrix by Richard K. Moore, which I find a phenomenal book, and his 9-stage process model. And one of the lessons of this model, which I find extremely useful for understanding why most social movements fail while some succeed, one of the most profound insights I find in that is that it's vital that no steps are skipped, that everyone needs to move through each step of the decision-making process in order to have buy-in, that no system can be imposed from the top, that authority derives from the bottom. And that really rings through very loud and clear in your book.
Well, Richard's book, Escaping the Matrix, I like it too because the hero in his book is the Wisdom Council. I mean, when he boils it down, how do we get this to happen? He's talking about dynamic facilitation and the Wisdom Council, which is what I'm talking about. And so I know that you spent some time with Richard in Ireland. So, and Richard has been to the seminar that I teach too. So, yeah, the key is. Okay, we can talk about the problems and we can talk about the crisis that we're facing and we can talk about how we're in this box, and then there's a way out of it. There's a way out of it. There's a way to solve this whole thing. And the solving isn't like, I don't know the actual solution, but what I do know is how to release people from the box that they don't know they're in. And to release the field of solutions that exist. There's solutions all over the place. People already know how to solve lots of these problems. We already have enough food. We know how to have peace with people. We just can't do it in the system. So as soon as we're outside being authentic and we're in a field that's been structured of visiting together collaboratively, and this isn't just releasing people out of the box where they go back to fighting and that sort of thing. It's about creating an environment where their natural tendency is to collaborate and figure out what's best for everybody and share and be fair and that sort of thing. Now, inside the box, the field is set up for special interests and for competition. For you to, I mean, okay, I've got greed inside me just as much as I have wanting to serve life. Our system sets up that we bring out the greed, that we focus on self-interest. And if you want to serve community, well, nobody's going to pay you for that. You'll never get reimbursed for that. You'll get reimbursed for being self-interested. And that's a stupid idea for a society that's interdependent.
So one of the ways of understanding the box is that it's the rules of the game that are handed down from on high, let's say. So we cooperate in the sense that we agree to abide by these rules and we agree to compete.
Yeah, you're saying the word agree. Yeah, all that's true. And what really happens in the box is it structures how we talk and how we think and how we look at issues. In other words, how we're going to make a decision is we're going to have this argument, and then we're going to vote, and then 51% of the vote, if 51% say we're going to do X, then we do X no matter what anybody else thinks. That is the system of thinking and talking that we are going to use to make collective decisions. Now, it's way better than what we had before, because we had this king and so forth who it was just up to one person, and sometimes that worked out great, and sometimes that worked out horribly. But now we have a system where at least we have a vote. But if you're in the 49% minority, it's as if you don't have a vote. And in fact, today, if you vote for a congressperson or whatever, I mean, 95% of them get reelected. The incumbents get reelected 95% of the time. So, and most of the time when you vote, it really doesn't matter. It's just a symbolic act. It's too late. I mean, if you're not in Iowa or New Hampshire, you don't even get to decide who the candidates are going to be. So the vote really isn't there, I mean, in a lot of cases. So what we want is a system, I think everybody wants, is a system where you're involved and you get to be a part of thinking these things, and we get to employ common sense. And the only reason why we're not doing that is because people don't think it's possible.
So let's move from theory to in practice. Let's say in my hometown of Ashland, Oregon, we pick some issue, any issue, let's say affordable housing, and we choose 12 people from that community at random, and we bring them together, and these manners of interacting have been inculcated in everyone. We barely have any models for anything different. And so we bring this group of 12 people together, and let's say they decide that affordable housing is the issue of interest that they want to talk about.
That's good, yeah. The group chooses, not somebody else.
Yes, so the group chooses affordable housing, let's say, and their first impulse is to vent in the way that they always have, one side of the issue or the other.
Right.
And then we have a facilitator, let's say, making notes on a board. And now can you remind me the 4 different kinds of categories of notes they would take? There's problems, solutions.
Yeah, well, it probably doesn't matter. Problem statements, data, solutions, concerns. But the point is that the facilitator uses those charts to structure a certain kind of thinking and talking. And that's the key piece, is that it's where everybody comes up with unanimous views in the end.